Welcome to Comfort Crime with Lindsay Sanchez, a cozy mystery podcast where no actual crimes have been committed. Today we'll continue Death at Dogwood Lake, a novella about Georgia Lennox, whose perfect first date turns into a perfect nightmare when she discovers a dead body. And instead of finding romance, she's pulled into a murder investigation where hometown secrets run deeper than the alpine lake where it all started. If this is your first time here, welcome! And please start with episode 1, chapter 1. There is a link to it in the show notes. For everyone else, we'll continue to chapter 11. But first, an update. Can you believe it? When we started unraveling this mystery at Death at Dogwood Lake together, the trees were dressed in their autumn leaves, and now in my corner of the world, the leaves have fallen, the snow periodically blankets the ground, and here in the U.S., we've sailed past Thanksgiving and deep into the most wonderful time of year. Christmas! For those of you following along live with our weekly chapter releases, bless you. Bless you for coming with me on this Write As I Go adventure. We are in the home stretch. While I can't give you an exact finish date, because, sometimes stories have a mind of their own, I can promise you we will wrap this cozy mystery up sometime this month. Which means we'll be perfectly positioned to dive into something brand new come January. And while I've been absolutely loving every minute of our time at Dogwood Lake together, I am even more excited for what's coming next because I am a complete sucker for beginnings. They're my favorite. I love them so much. And the story waiting for us in the new year, if Death at Dogwood Lake has been an appetizer, what's coming next is the full 5-course meal, and I am buzzing with excitement and genuinely can't wait to share it with you. Whatever December brings your way, be it cookie baking, gift wrapping, or simply curling up with a good mystery and a cozy drink, I hope it's filled with magic and maybe just a little bit of suspense, the fun kind. Thank you for being the most wonderful readers an author could ask for. Your enthusiasm fuels every chapter, every twist, literally every episode. I wouldn't be doing this without you. So cheers to finishing strong and starting fresh, both in the stories we'll listen to on this podcast, as well as in the year and the coming new one. P.S. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter yet, now is the perfect time. The mystery is thickening. Okay, last time, while Jake's father sat in jail and Rose worried about more than just her dead husband, Georgia accidentally uncovered what the police had overlooked, a critical piece of evidence hidden in the last place anyone thought to look. But knowing the truth and proving it are two very different things, especially when telling the authorities could cost her father his badge, and revealing what she knows could put her squarely in the killer's sights. So instead, she told Jake, the only person she could think to turn to. But he wasn't there to play nice, and he ran off before they could tell her dad or come up with a plan. Death at Dogwood Lake, Chapter 11. Georgia ran into the house, her heart racing faster than her feet could carry her. Everything was quiet. "Dad?" she yelled as she ran into the living room. "Dad?" On the couch, her mom and little Nikki had fallen asleep, a book across their laps. Georgia ran to the kitchen. "Dad?" "He's in the bathroom." Sienna looked up from the table. "He said something about having a burrito for lunch." She made a face like she did not need to know what was going on in there and went back to painting her nails. "He'll probably be a while. What's up?" "Jake is going to confront Tom's killer." Georgia didn't have the brain space or the time to sugarcoat it or go into specifics. She just needed her dad to follow Jake and make sure he didn't do what Georgia was sure he wanted to. Sienna froze for half a second, processing exactly what Georgia had said. Then her older sister dropped the nail polish brush and in one fluid movement got up from the table and grabbed her keys from the dish on the counter. "Let's go." "We can't both leave. I need you to stay and tell Dad I went to the Harding's house. You need to explain to him what's going on." Georgia held out her hands for the keys. "There's not time to wake up Mom and explain or wait for him to be done." Sienna hesitated again, still clutching the keys over Georgia's outstretched hand. "It's not safe either way." It was true. Georgia shouldn't be driving. They both knew it. Though she had turned 16 that morning, she hadn't gotten her license. She hadn't officially passed the test and gotten that little piece of paper that made it legal for her to get behind the wheel of a car alone. "Please?" Georgia begged. "For Jake?" Sienna rolled her eyes and dropped the keys in Georgia's hand. "Fine." She sat back down at the table. "You owe me." As grateful as Georgia was, she didn't take the time to thank her sister. Holding on to the metal keys so tightly, she was at risk of breaking the delicate skin on her palm. But the reality, the normalcy of the solid keys brought her a strange comfort, despite the little tingle of pain. She drove back to the Hardings, retracing the roads her mom had just driven, as quickly and as carefully as she could. Turning the corner onto the Harding street, two large boys, almost men really, stood on the grass, barely an arm's length between them. And from their postures, even in the fading twilight, it was clear they were yelling, fighting. Georgia rolled down her window as she pulled up to the curb. "Jake!" But if he heard her, he didn't show any recognition. "Jake!" Georgia called louder. Eric turned his head at the sound, and Jake seized the opportunity, using Eric's momentary distraction as his chance to land a sucker punch. His right fist swung through the air, colliding with Eric's left cheekbone in a way that made his face swing to the side, swiveling as it absorbed impact. If the punch surprised Eric, he didn't show it. With barely more than a second to process what had just happened, Eric reacted, growling as he took Jake to the ground, tackling him like they were on the football field, or like he had more than one fight under his belt. And with Tom Harding as his stepdad, he probably did. Crap! Georgia fumbled to get the car in park as Eric and Jake brawled on the front lawn. Crap! 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 She finally got the car stopped, her seatbelt unbuckled, and the sticky driver's door open. She ran to the boys. "Stop! Stop!" she screamed, standing over them. "This won't fix anything." "Why are you here?" Eric had Jake pinned to the ground, but it was unclear if his question was directed at him or at Georgia. Jake answered before Georgia could decide if she should. "It's because of you my dad's in jail, and you're going to let him rot?" As if Jake's words and the fury behind them gave him extra strength, he struggled out from under Eric's grip, bringing his leg around the older, stronger boy's body and forcing him to the ground. "Your dad's a grown man. I don't get to decide where he rots." Eric's breathing was labored, with all of Jake's weight squarely on his chest. They rolled again, the pair of them, this time towards Georgia. She took a step back, right into the puddle where the hose was dripping, turning the dirt into mud. Georgia took another step back. She didn't need more mud today. Mud. Georgia kicked the hose, attempting to let her own frustration out on something better than another human. Mud. Realization hit her straight in the face, like Jake had punched her instead of Eric. "Stop!" she yelled again, this time getting into their wrestle and trying to shove them apart. "Stop!" She hit their backs, them not paying any attention until she yelled, "I figured it out." They paused, still holding tight to each other's shirts, but no longer struggling. "He's protecting you." She paced back and forth, avoiding the mud while she had their attention, and the solution more fully formed in her mind. "And you're protecting him." Eric sat on the ground, the fight gone out of him. He let go of Jake's shirt and laid back in defeat. Was it an accident? Georgia looked at Eric, watching his face for tells in case he lied. She needn't have bothered. The football player that just moments before had looked so much like a man was hunched on the ground like a lost boy. "He made me promise not to tell," Eric whispered. "He said no matter what happened, I had to pretend like I didn't know anything. Like I wasn't at Dogwood Lake this morning." "So you were just gonna let him take the fall?" From the tone in Jake's voice, he was ready to start another fight. Georgia took another step between them. "He made me promise," Eric said again, this time less convincing. He said it's what my dad would want." "Forget this." Jake slammed the ground with his fist and stood up, stalking to his car before turning the engine and leaving. "What's his problem?" Eric held his hand to his face, where, if the sun had still been shining, they surely would have seen a black eye forming. Remembering what Jake had said that morning about his family not going to Dogwood Lake anymore, and then about suspecting his father having been unfaithful, and now this, his dad had been willing to give up being a part of his life, to go to jail so he could be a father figure for Eric. It had to hurt. "I think he's jealous," Georgia said, watching Jake's taillights disappear around the corner. "I think he's been missing his dad, and now he knows why." Eric sighed. "That's something I can relate to. I miss my dad every day." Georgia patted him on the back. She still didn't know exactly what had happened, but it sounded like Eric was just as lost and confused and scared as the rest of them. They sat together on the grass, sirens, hopefully her father's, wailing in the distance. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a mystery-loving friend, or consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast player. Most of all, thank you so much for being here today. I loved it, and I'm already excited for next week.